Bonjour everyone and welcome back to the Waves of Your Soul. I am your humble French tarot reader Marine, and today we're going to be doing a video on my most surprising decks, the good, the bad and the flabbergasting. This is an idea I had in November around looking at the decks that surprised me the most this year, whether it was a good surprise, whether it was a bad surprise, or whether it was just truly unexpected for a reason or another that we will go through in this video. So I thought it would be a fun topic. So it's gonna be a chatty video talking about surprising decks. I've got some mass market tarot decks, some indie tarot decks, I've got some oracle decks, there's a bit of everything. This video is part of my Tarot Vlogmas 2024. I am posting a lot more content all months of December. We are doing the most. We have plenty of content on tarot and oracle decks for my fellow deck goblins. We have some pick cards all month long that are on the theme of fairy tales. I have made December fairy tale months, and all of my pick card readings are inspired by fairy tale stories, fairy tale archetypes. This is so much fun. I'm having such a good time. You guys seem to really enjoy it as well. There's just gonna be a lot of content all months of December. I'm posting a lot more. I try every year to make December a special month. I know that the end of the year can sometimes be a bit lonely for some people or just a little bit difficult. Despite what we are told in all the Christmas movies, this time of year is not necessarily easy. So it is my goal every year to try and bring a little bit more magic and joy into your life by upping my content, offering lots of fun videos, and I hope you are enjoying it. So thank you so much for those of you who are here. If you're new here, I want to say a huge welcome. In the description box you're going to find all the names of the decks I'm mentioning today, so if you're curious about them you can click down below, you'll get all that information. You're going to find my playlist for Tarot Vlogmas with lots of content. You will find my social media links. Definitely check out my Instagram. I post pretty much every day. I share on my stories what I'm up to, what I'm reading with books, decks, pictures of Reunion Island. We do polls, we do little card pulls. It's a good time. And without further ado, let's get into looking at the most surprising decks, the good, the bad and the flabbergasting. Let's get into it. As you may know, if you've been here before and you've watched my videos before, I definitely am a huge chaotic deck goblin. Honestly, my sun sign is in Goblin and my moon sign is in Hobbit, meaning that I love spending time at home with my decks and using lots of decks for fun, lots of chaoticness, but also lots of cozy vibes. And because I enjoy so many varied different styles of decks, because I don't really have a particular aesthetic style, like I can't say I'm a dark deck girly or I'm a cute deck girly, like a lot of it, which makes my wallet very sad. And that means that overall I have a very varied tarot deck collection because I like to have different inspirations. I like to have very varied styles, aesthetics, inspirations, systems even, but sometimes that also means that I make mistakes by getting decks that I think will work out for me and that end up not working out for me. So this year I'm pretty happy. There was not that many mistakes and not that many like bad surprises, but I still wanted to talk about it because, to be real, it happens to all of us. I'm sure all of us at some point have gotten a deck expecting it to work out for us and it doesn't, or have gotten a deck and when it arrives we're disappointed, and I wanted to talk about that today. And we'll move on to good surprises, which thankfully there's a lot more of good surprises this year than bad surprises. But let's talk about the most disappointing addition to my tarot collection this year, the bad surprise of the year, and it's completely my fault. So I've only got myself to blame here for not paying enough attention, but there you go, I'm learning my lessons. Again, you know, chaotic deck goblin, sometimes I act first, think later. I'm working on that. So let's talk about the Retekina Tabi Tarot. This is a deck I purchased on Etsy, and I do have extenuating circumstances because when I purchased this I was very sick. It's not a good time for me to be purchasing anything, but I was scrolling, as you do, you know, you're stuck in bed scrolling the internet, looking at decks, and I saw a few images of this deck, and I mean, look at those backings, beautiful. Honestly, the quality, I don't have anything bad to say. The paper is lovely, we have those lovely golden inlays, the quality of it is really nice. So I literally saw a few images and I was like, yeah, that sounds beautiful. I don't really have a whole lot of Japanese inspired decks, so I was like, let me go for it. Just seeing a couple of images and deciding to give it a shot without really reading any of the description or anything. Again, I was not in a good headspace. I was not even in my body at that point. So what I didn't realize until it arrived is that this is AI generated images, which is not necessarily the problem in itself. The main problem is that they've not even bothered to fix any of the problems that come up with AI generated images. Look at those hands. What is going on there? It looks like worms. What the fuck is that? Yeah, see? Super disappointing. It is such a shame because this deck is absolutely stunning. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of these images are gorgeous. And again, when I purchased it, I only saw a couple of images. I didn't even watch a walkthrough or anything, which is really not like me. Normally, you know, I do my research. Normally, I watch my walkthroughs. I don't know, this is also teaching me a lesson of like, Marine, you need to stick to your rules of watching your walkthrough, looking at reviews and stuff, because sometimes spontaneity is not your friend. But look at those hands. This is the problem. The main core for me of the problem is not that it's an AI generated deck, because there are AI generated decks that I find very, very beautiful. One of them being the Sundar Tarot made by my friend Angie, but she actually took a lot of time to edit the images, change the images, clean the images. She poured a lot of effort from herself into that deck. Here, it feels like they just got the images, printed them on, and were like, yep, go, let's do it. I mean, look at those hands. Look at that. So I went back on the Etsy listing because I was like, okay, maybe it's my fault. Maybe I didn't read the description. Maybe I should have paid more attention. Guess what? They don't tell you on the Etsy listing that this is AI. There is no mention of AI whatsoever in any of the Etsy listings. So I know I was not in a good space, you know, that my brain wasn't really functioning, but at the same time, I couldn't have known really unless I did extensive research and start to look at other people comment. And even then, you have to go to like 3 or 4 pages of their comments to see people complaining about the AI. They have a lot of positive reviews saying the deck is gorgeous and everything, and not that many negative reviews on this. So, you know, it's still a functioning deck. I'm still gonna use it because I hate waste. And thankfully, at the time when I purchased this was super heavily discounted. I would never pay for this full price. I would definitely not encourage you to pay for this full price. I mean, if you don't mind the mistakes, the hands looking weird and stuff, then you do you, boo. But for me, I feel like it's such a missed opportunity because there really are some gorgeous cards. It would have not taken that long to fix the hands. I don't think it would take that long, and it would make everything so much better, because look at this. This is beautiful, right? And this, again, gorgeous. There are definitely some beautiful images. I just can't get over the mistakes that were made that would have been so easily fixed, and it's such a shame. It's really such a shame. And again, you know, I don't like when something is AI and you don't tell me. Like, for me, that's the root of the problem. You can use AI, of course. You can use AI to create your deck. You do what you want. If you want to use AI, it's your choice. You want to use AI as a deck creator, it's your choice. I don't have anything to say about that. What I want as a tarot purchaser and customer is to be told how you've created your deck. I want to be able to make my own decision with all the information, and then I will decide if I want to purchase it or not. But tell me, don't sneak it up on me. I think it should be the bare minimum now, that if you use AI, you just mention it. I used AI, and then guess what? A lot of people will still buy the deck. I've noticed a lot of people don't care, and a lot of people will not. But at least you've been honest and truthful, and that's it. You've respected your customers. So I am disappointed with this one. I've used it, and it reads fine. I'm still gonna use it. I'm probably still gonna use it even in pick a card readings and stuff. I just wish that there was a little bit more effort put into it, because it could have been easily fixed, like I said, and it would make things so much better. I mean, look at this. Just what is that? What the fuck is that? It's just a shame, because the rest is gorgeous. Definitely the most disappointing deck for me. Let's talk about now decks that I don't feel like I'm disappointed about the purchase or like the listing or anything like that. It's just that I haven't managed to connect with them the way that I thought I would. So it's more like it was a bad surprise for me that I couldn't connect to them as much as I wanted to. And this doesn't mean that in no way, shape, or form these are bad tarot decks or anything like that. It's through my own fault of not being able to connect, because I thought I would love these decks, and turns out I can't actually make them work for me. Let's talk about the Nemes Tarot. A very, like, I'm so disappointed in myself for this one, because this is by one of my favorite tarot deck creators, Jonas Ayaus. I love her stunning tarot. I've got the first edition. It's one of my favorite tarot decks ever, top 3 decks ever. I love her Jonas Ayaus tarot as well. So when she came out with pre-orders for this, I think it was beginning of this year, I pressed pay without asking anything. I was like, one of my favorite artists is making a new deck. Yeah, sure, I'll purchase it. I'll support you. And look, everything is beautiful. Jonas's artwork is absolutely stunning, and it's just, I mean, look at that. It's just really, really beautiful. I think such a talented artist. So this is in no way, shape, or form me saying like I don't like the deck or the deck is bad. This is a bad surprise for me in the sense that I could not connect to this the way that I thought I would, because I love her previous 2 decks so much, because they are part of like my all-time favorites. Specifically, the Stunning is, like I said, top 3 favorite decks ever, and I've got over 300 decks by now. You know, if one of them is like in my top 3, I have high expectations. I probably should not have put high expectation on this, because this is very different, and the reason why I can't connect to it is because this is related to folklore and folk tales that are specific to Galicia, which is a Spanish region where Jonasa comes from. And as you can see, all the names of the card are in Galician as well, which is not a problem. Like because I've done Spanish as one of my languages, Galician and, like, you know, Catalan, the Spanish that we learn in France, very, very different, but I can still pick up on similarities, so that's not really the problem. The problem is that all the stories here, the folk tales, the myths, are really not ones that I know, and the guidebook is not out yet. So I've had this deck since, I think, March, and the guidebook is still not been printed or sent or whatever. I don't know if it's gonna come as a PDF, as a book, but I know she's still working on it, and until that guidebook comes, I can't make this work. I've tried to read this intuitively, and it's so different to a Marseille, an RWS and stuff that I'm struggling to make sense of it. I've tried to look up the stories, but it's a bit of a struggle because a lot of them are coming up in Galician, and I even asked my Spanish friend, and even she was like, yeah, I've never heard of those stories because they're so specific to that folklore, lore, and area, and she's not my Spanish friend, not from this area. This is more like I'm disappointed in myself for not managing to make this work. So I'm not gonna get rid of this deck, obviously. I'm gonna wait until the guidebook comes up, and when the guidebook comes, I will retry, you know, with the stories to make this happen, to see how I connect to it. I've put it back in order in the meantime, just to like give it a little bit of a sleepy time. Right now it's not really in my purgatory, it's just having a little sleep. I think this might be 2 of Pentacles, and if that is, I don't see 2 of Pentacles here because I don't know the story with the chicken and the snake, and I'm sure if I knew the story there, I would probably manage to make it work, but right now it's a little bit of a struggle. So it's definitely not a bad surprise in the sense of like the deck is bad, because the deck is beautiful and it does what it says, which is a deck celebrating Galician folklore and folk tale. It's more a surprise in the sense that I thought I would be able to work with it, and I'm realizing I'm not. So this is also teaching me a lesson that when a deck is so specific to a culture and is not my own, I really need the guidebook to work with them, and if I can't get the guidebook straight away, then I'm learning my lesson that I probably should not be getting that deck. No matter how much I love the artwork and want to support the artist, it's just not going to work for me. So I need, if it's something so different to my culture, I need a guidebook that's available straight away, so I can, like, you know, make it work for me, so I can learn and then make those connections. But as of right now, this did not work out for me. Another deck that surprised me in the sense that I had put very high expectations on it, that I was convinced it was gonna become a workhorse straight away, and that I realized, at least this year, I really have not managed to connect with it and to like bond with it and to make it work for me is the Ehrenberg Tarot by Steve Ehrenberg. I had been looking and lusting after this deck even when they announced it, like even before it was out and they were starting to release pictures. This is US game, it's mass market. I saw images and I was like, yeah, can't wait for this to come out. As soon as it came out, I ordered it on Rare Waves. Took a few weeks to arrive, obviously, because you know I live in a Reunion Island, a tropical island, so things take always very long. And actually put a pin in that. We'll come back to long delays because you guys are gonna freak out when I tell you what happened. And whilst my copy was not arriving, I was watching reviews of people and I was seeing it everywhere because this has been a very popular deck this year, and I was so excited, like seeing everyone use it. I was like, yeah, I can't wait to have this in my hand. Then it arrived and I tried reading with it for a couple of things and it felt so flat and I'm so disappointed. Again, not in the deck, more so in myself for not managing to connect with it. I had huge expectation. I thought that the concept of closing in on the style was so cool. I thought it was very unique, innovative, something different. I really love the symbolism that they've chosen. But then in a spread, I was looking at it and I was like, yeah, it's okay, but it does not excite me. I don't feel excited. I feel this card is great. That's one of my favorite cards. I love the Death card. I love the Hermit. But I mean, Temperance is like, yeah, okay. You know, there's just energetically, it's like we could not get each other. So I'm not ready to let this go yet because at the same time, I'm thinking when I try to read with this, and you can see it's back in order because right now it's having a little sleep, like, you know, it's put on pause. So I've put it back in order. I've cleansed it again because I was like, okay, maybe I need to cleanse it, put it, you know, put it aside and revisit it. And I went back into my diary, and when I tried to work with this, I was very struggling physically again. It was not a good time of the year for me. I was in a lot of pain. I was not in a good headspace because I was really struggling with my chronic health, chronic illness, chronic pain. So maybe that could have also gotten in the way of me bonding with this deck. It's possible. I'm giving it, you know, that possibility. Although usually, even if I'm in a lot of pain, if a deck excites me, it will come through, right? But it is possible that if I'm not the best, if I'm not in like a headspace of, yeah, just being as open maybe as normally I would be, and as receptive as I could be, if I'm feeling very like I was saying, a lot of pain and just not feeling very good, then it is possible it could come in the way of me bonding with the deck. So this is why I've not decided to like let it go straight away. I was like, let me put it on the side, give it a little sleep. I've cleansed it, I've put it under the full moon, put it back in order, and I think I'm gonna try it again in January, because right now for December I'm packed. I've got many decks I want to use. I'm so busy with tarot, vlogmas and paid readings that I don't have it in me to try and connect with a deck that I'm not really feeling that much right now. So I'm gonna use this in January or February, I think, give it a second chance, and if I don't bond with it, I'll give it away. I want to do a giveaway next year again from my channel anyway. So yeah, this is not like a bad surprise in the sense of this was not a good deck or anything like that, because I know so many people love it, but it's the bad surprise in the sense of I had huge expectations. I was so pumped. I thought I was gonna freaking love this. When I read with it, it didn't feel as magical and exciting as I thought it would. So this is another one I need to give a second chance at some point. But that's the last one of my bad surprises, you know, for the year. Thankfully, as you're gonna see, there's definitely a lot more good surprises this year, and decks that just surprised me for a reason or another, so we're gonna get into it. Let's talk about decks that surprised me, because when they arrived, they did not look the way that I thought. Right? It's like what I saw online and what I got was very different, or at least the image I had made in my mind of what they would look like, and then the actual reality of what the deck looks like was very different. One of them is the 8-bit fantasy tarot. The reason why this surprised me the most is because this is so small, you guys, and I knew it was small because I've seen videos of people sharing this. I watched walkthroughs, but I don't know why, I just didn't expect it to be that small. I thought it would be more like pocket playing card size, but look at that. If this is stereotypical tarot size, look at this, okay? It's tiny, and I have huge orc hands, you know that by now. I have very large hands. I don't have lady hands really. My hands are very large, so normally I don't do mini decks so often, but this one, because it was the 8-bit fantasy, it was all about like, you know, video games, kind of inspired RWS. I'm a very nostalgic gamer at heart. I loved playing like Game Boy when I was younger. I still play video games now. So this aesthetic was so me. I was like, I need this. And especially because I thought it was gonna be more like pocket size, you know, playing cards. I was like, yeah, I can carry it in my bag. It's gonna be so fun. I'm excited. This is so cute. What I didn't realize is how small it was gonna be. It's like a sticker size, you know? It's not even mini at this point. It is Polly Pocket size. I feel like the people who have very small hands, very small, very dainty, very demure, everything I'm not, would love this. Also, if you have like arthritis in your hands, or if you struggle with shuffling decks, this is great. But for me, I mean, look, if I put my hands on it, it's even my palm, not even my hand, my palm is bigger than that. It's ridiculous. So I love the deck aesthetically. I've used it because it's cute, and because like I said, I love the kind of like art style of it. It's super cute. But I was really shocked at how small it was. I didn't think it was going to be so small. I don't know if I'm going to keep it eventually. This might go into my giveaway decks. We'll see. Because I would love this, but bigger. I don't know if you guys have. I've seen actually that the same people who did this, I think it's the same people, they've done a fairy pixel style deck but with fairies, and it's definitely bigger. Like I think it's either pocket size or regular tarot size, and I think this would be more my vibe, because when I use this I feel like I don't know, it's just so small. It's just so small compared to my huge hands. It feels a little bit uncomfortable, and but I love the art style, so I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do because I love this 8-bit pixel style. It's so cute, but I wish it was bigger. So this was a surprise in the sense of I didn't realize how small it was gonna be, and yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna keep it or not. We should see. I might get the fairy one and give this one away, or if you guys have other like gamer 8-bit style tarot you want to recommend me, let me know. I love the idea of this, but when it arrived I realized it was a little bit of a struggle for me to work with it. Another deck that surprised me in the sense of what I thought it was gonna look like versus the reality of it arriving, this time in the sense of really blowing me away by how much better it looked than what I thought it was gonna do, is the Dream of Nile Tarot. I always knew that this was gonna be a gorgeous deck, okay, because everything that Emma Zheng does is gorgeous, and this is an indie deck by Emma Zheng, the creator of the Dream Vision Tarot, which is another one of my favorite decks. She's another artist that every time she like brings something out, I'm like, yeah, take my money. You know, there are artists like that you really love and support. I backed the Kickstarter, not really looking too much into it, because I was like, okay, this is by one of my favorite artists and it's on a theme I love, Egyptian mythology. I'm gonna back it without really paying too much attention to it, and it'd be a surprise when it comes. And what a surprise it was. I was blown away by how beautiful everything is, production quality, everything. Look at this box. I did not expect this to be as gorgeous as it is, and this is what the surprise was for this deck. It was like, I knew it was going to be beautiful art style, but I did not know that the box, everything, production quality, the cards, was going to be so amazing and delicious. So it opens like this, and again, look at this. Look at this. I can't. I genuinely cannot with how beautiful this is. This is one of my most beautiful decks now in terms of production quality, in terms of the box, the cards, the guidebook, everything. Look, we have Newt in the box. It's so beautiful, you guys. I was blown away when I got this by how gorgeous it was, and this was my surprise, is that I really did not think it was going to be as beautiful as it is. The guidebook is so cool. It opens like this, super cool, like, you know, papyrus style. It's really well done. The backings, oh my goodness. We have the golden here, the golden on the side. This is just indie tarot at its highest elevation form. You know, when you get an indie deck that you're like, wow, I feel like I really got my money's worth here in terms of production, art style, everything. Yeah, this is 10 out of 10, even 11 out of 10. It's so gorgeous. And the other thing that surprised me about this deck is that it's toss based, and normally I'm really not a toss girly. Like, I have a few toss adjacent decks that I enjoy, but the toss system in itself, as in the original deck by Aleister Crowley, is not my favorite. Like, I intend on learning more about it at some point, but there's always been something more interesting that came up. I've read a book on it, but I've not really done a deep dive study about it. And I do want to at some point, but like I said, it's never really been at my top priority. There's always something that comes up that ends up taking it that place. So I was first blown away by how beautiful this was. I did not expect it to be as beautiful. I mean, look, even the front of the cards have golden inlays and little details. It's so stunning, and obviously Emma's artwork is absolutely wonderful. And I realized, oh, this is like Thoth adjacent. Am I going to be able to bond with this? Am I going to be able to read with this? And I was shocked to find out that yes, I can read with this deck so well. It's beautiful. It's really not an issue for me to read with this, even if the minors are a little bit more peepish and on the Thoth side. I've had wonderful reading with this. I've read with this for others. It's been amazing. And even another surprise is that the court cards are renamed, which normally are part of my little like struggles with tarot, is like when court cards are renamed to outside of the regular page, knight, queen and king, I sometimes struggle remembering what they are, and that can get in the way of my reading. This one somehow was not a problem at all. I bonded with it straight away. I freaking love this deck so much. When I want that Egyptian mythology style, this is everything. This is my go-to now. Like I said, I've read with it for others. It reads beautifully. I need to read with it for you guys. I'm gonna do for my January month ahead reading, I'm gonna do it on mythology. I'm gonna do mythology special pick a card for you guys because I have some beautiful mythology decks I've been thinking about using, and when I mentioned that on my channel, you guys were really pumped for that idea. We're gonna do it in January, but like I said, for now, for December, we are packed with Tarot Vlogmas and our theme of fairy tales. But look at this. Oh, it's so beautiful. So this was just a surprise in all the good sense, in the sense that even though it's a system I'm not super used to, I had no problem bonding with it, in the sense that it looked even more beautiful in person than I had expected. The best surprise possible in all of its way, and I'm really obsessed with this one. Beautiful creation by Emma Zheng. And again, I'll make sure to leave all the names of the decks in the description box. Let's talk about now decks that surprised me because they turned out to be more versatile than I thought they would be, or because I ended up using them more than I thought I would be. And we'll start with the Legend of Zelda Tarot. So I believe right now this is out of print, but they've released another Kickstarter this year, so they might do another one at some point, I don't know. But this was a Kickstarter I backed last year, and it's obviously, as the name suggests, it's a deck related to the Zelda games. Honestly, when I backed it on Kickstarter, I got it because I was obsessed with Zelda, and I was like, surely this is going to be a fun pop culture deck that I can enjoy as, you know, a little treat, a little good mood deck. I didn't really expect it to be that deep or anything. It was more really for, you know, this idea that it comes from a lore and fan base that I love and enjoy. It's inspired by a world that I love. And so I was like, okay, this is going to be a good mood deck, and maybe that's all it's going to be. It might not be a deck that I end up using a lot, but because it's on a theme I love, I'm still going to get it. I want to support the artist, and, you know, I want to support the project. Well, it was super surprising to me that once I received the deck, it turned out to be a very, very good reader and a very sharp shooter, and I ended up using this deck a lot this year, a lot more than I thought, and I ended up using it for like even other people, for like I remember doing a big career reading for a friend with this. I remember doing a friendship reading for a friend. She was having like friendship issues, like, you know, like trying to understand what was going on there, and we used that deck, and it was so on point. It was so good, and it was really, really a sharp shooter. So this has been a kind of like a great deck for day-to-day things, practical things, like I said, like career, friendship, you know, miscommunications, day-to-day. I've used this for like my day-to-day issues, like asking stuff about medical appointments and things like that, and it was so good. So even though obviously inspired by The Legend of Zelda, and it is a good mood deck in the sense that it reminds me of a world and characters that I love, it's actually a lot more versatile and a much better reader than I had expected. Like, I thought this was going to be a fun deck I go to when I want a fun little time reminding me of Zelda. Turns out this lived on my desk for a month at a time this year, and it's one that I love bringing out even for not just myself, even for others. So that was a great surprise in that sense. I hadn't put too much thought into this one, and yet it read beautifully. Like I said, I think right now it's out of print, but because they've done a couple of Kickstarters already, maybe check out the previous Kickstarter, see if there's like a newsletter you can sign up to or something, as hopefully they will bring it back up again. Another deck that really surprised me was the Rainbow Tarot. I bought this, so this is a mass market deck. Originally it was indie, but it was picked up mass market by Chronicle Books. I got this because it was cute. That's it. Originally I bought this because it was cute. When it was indie, I had considered getting it, and then I don't know, I had forgotten about it. So when I saw it was picked up mass market, I remember seeing it for super cheap, like this. I think when I purchased it, it was less than 15 euros. It was very affordable, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a go. I mean, it's cute. I didn't expect very much of it more than that. I was like, it's a cute deck, it's a colorful deck. I can enjoy it when I want a little fun treat, you know, when I want some colors. Surprisingly, I ended up using this a lot more than I thought I would. I mean, look at this gorgeous holo. I love that. The backs are so cute. They're one of my favorite backings of this year. Super adorable. I love all the bright colors. And like I said, this originally was purchased because it was one I had kind of had an eye out. It was super affordable when I got it, and I was like, yeah, it's gonna be cute, it's gonna be colorful. Again, it has potential to be a good mood deck, but did not really expect it to be a workhorse kind of deck. And it turned out that this year I've used it a ton, specifically for using for others. This loves reading for people. It loves reading for like career reading. It loves reading for like even larger questions, things like spiritual questions, life mission. This just loves chatting. It's a very chatty deck, and it's cute, but it's also, it can go deeper than what I thought. You know, it's a deck that is turning out in my collection to be a deck I love picking up for reading for others. I've been pairing this one with the Extraordinary Incantation cards, which is a little like pocket oracle deck of affirmation, and they are so great together. I've loved using this. I think even in pick a card readings I've used this. It was great. Surprised me. It really surprised me in the sense that I bought it because it was cute, and I ended up using it a lot more than I thought. So it's not like a deck that makes me feel super passionate and inspired, that I've absolutely fallen head in love with. It feels more practical, if anything. Like, it's not, I don't even know if this is going to be part of my favorite decks of the year, because I have other decks that just make me feel big feelings, that make me feel so passionate and so in love. But this is just a reliable, trustworthy workhorse. So is this the most exciting deck in my collection that I've added in my collection this year? Not really. Is this one that I ended up hating a lot because it was reliable and trustworthy and a workhorse? Yes. And that surprised me, because I did not expect that for that deck. So good surprise. Let's continue with the Corrupted Tarot indie tarot deck. This surprised me for a few reasons. The first one is that this is a collaborative deck. Normally they really don't work for me. I wish they would. I would love to love, you know, the 78 Tarot, for example, because they have some beautiful themes, and I love the idea of it. But in practicality, every time I've tried a collaborative deck, they end up not working out for me. Minus two exceptions, the Vox Arcana by Los Scarabeo, and this one. This is despite the fact that it is collaborative art style, meaning that we have a different artist for every card. I still really bonded with this deck, and the disparity in art style did not stop me from connecting with this at all. The other thing that surprised me a lot with this deck is how much I ended up using it, because originally the name of it is the Corrupted Tarot. As you can see, it's very dark, very spooky, very creepy deck. Every card is depicted as if it was corrupted, meaning every card is depicted as the reversal meaning of that card. So we have very heavy shadow type recreation of the cards. It's a very dark deck. There's not much hope there, really. It's quite dark. It's a reversal only kind of deck. I mean, look at this Judgment card. When I got this, I was like, okay, I love the concept. I think I will love this for shadow work, right? For obviously looking at things that we don't want to look at, blockages, fears, anything like that. But I did not expect, and what surprised me is that I ended up using this for a lot more readings than I thought. I thought, oh, this is going to be very specific for my shadow work type readings, so I know it's going to be fantastic for that, but it might not be a deck I end up using for many readings, right? It might be quite niche. And maybe I am a glutton for punishment, but I loved using this for everything, not just shadow work reading, but I loved using this for, like, again, day-to-day reading, health related reading, career reading, like interpersonal relationship readings. I've used this for everything, and every time it blew me away. So I really thought this was going to be a niche deck, but it's such a good reader, and it's so different to my other decks because it gives such a different kind of side of each tarot archetype. It also helps me when I feel a little bit in a tarot rut to expand my vision of tarot. It's kind of like the shuffle tarot in that sense. It forces me outside of my preconceived notion of tarot, and I realized that I've really loved using this for everything, not just shadow work, really. And yes, it's not the necessarily easiest deck to tap into, because you could think, well, it's going to be very dark and moody and not necessarily happy, but it's quite truthful and honest. It's very Queen of Sword energy, and sometimes you need that. And actually it helped me to look at the truth of a lot of situations. From then on, once you see the truth, you're like, well, now I can finally make the right decision for me, right? I was very surprised that I ended up using this deck a lot more than I thought, that I ended up using this deck outside of the niche I had originally thought it would belong to, and this is a great surprise. So that's the Corrupted Tarot. Another deck that really surprised me by how much more versatile it was versus what I originally intended to use it for is the Memento Mori by Black and the Moon, Claire Goodchild. This is an indie oracle deck. It's a Lenormand and oracle deck hybrid. It has a ton of cards, I think like 80 or something, so we love that. And originally I got this for sewing, for connecting with your ancestors, for those kind of like either ancestral reading, mediumship reading, connecting with people who have passed, looking at things beyond the veil, things like that. This is what I originally purchased it for. What blew me away, really flabbergasted me and surprised me with this, is that I ended up loving using this for way more. So again, another one I had originally put in a niche before it arrived, and that from using it, from practicing with the deck, from actually doing readings with it, I realized it was so much more versatile than what I had anticipated. So this is actually a fantastic deck for divination at large, because it is a Lenormand and Oracle hybrid, and because there's so many cards, this is a fantastic divinatory predictive type Oracle deck that you can use for anything. Not just connecting with your ancestors, but you can use this for looking at the energies of the week ahead, of the months ahead, for asking about, like, you know, any type of predictive readings. Like, I don't know, my friend asked me how her date was going. I used this one. It was fantastic. When, like, my mom asked me for something for her business, like if she was gonna get the paperwork she was expecting, and this read beautifully. You know, like day-to-day stuff. I even did silly readings like, my parcel finally gonna arrive, and this read beautifully. Like, for those types of very predictive readings, looking at, like, we're talking pure divination here, we're even looking at the week ahead, months ahead, things like that, trying to pick up at the energies, trying to pick up at the future, right? For, like, literally fortune telling. This is so good. It blew me away. And it's also fantastic for, obviously, ancestral work, for again connecting with like entities, beings from the other side of the veil. This is so good for that. When I did my readings around Samhain, it blew me away how fluid it was. But what really blew me away even more is the fact that since October and Samhain, I've not put this out. I've kept it on my desk, and I continue to use it for anything like day-to-day predictive reading questions I might have, and it continues to deliver beautifully. So this is way more versatile than I expected it to be, and it really surprised me in that sense. So definitely one of the most surprising decks for me. Another deck that really surprised me, and that I had an idea of how it would read before I got the deck, and then when I had the deck, that idea was completely burst and shattered, and the reality of how it read was very different. So again, very surprising surprising, which is the theme of this video, as you would have gotten by now. That is the Earth and Bone Oracle. So that's a mass market deck. I've got the English edition, but for my French viewers, get this in French now as well, mass market. So we love that. The English edition is by Rockpool, and originally, much like the Corrupted Tarot, I had gotten this for shadow work because I literally had seen some reviews and stuff when this came out, which I think was last year. And because of the reviews I watched and because of the art style, which you're going to see is very like skull heavy, again, a little bit spooky and dark, I had made the preconceived notion that this was going to be a deck for shadow work, for looking at fears, blockages, looking at things I don't want to look at, things like that, right? And then once I started reading with the deck and pulling cards and reading from the guidebook, I was blown away again, super surprised, again, flabbergasted, because this is much kinder, much more gentle than I expected it to be. I thought this was gonna literally read me to filth, right? I thought it was going to be a deck that is that kind of deck that reads you to filth, that tells you what you don't want to hear but that you need to hear, and this was not that at all. This is so gentle, so kind. This is very luminous despite the very dark artwork. I mean, I love the artwork. I think it's absolutely beautiful, but I know it's not everyone's cups of tea, and I know when people look at this, I mean, even my mom, she looked at this and she was like, hell no. You know, she's not a big fan of skulls, for example. I know a lot of people would be put off by that, but it's a lot more luminous and bright and kind and gentle than it looks. So that was the biggest surprise. The guidebook is fantastic. I love the messages, again, very supportive. This is a great deck if you're going through a tough time. This is such a nice deck for that. I mean, I really, when I got this, again, I expected it to tear me to shreds, and it did not do that. On the contrary, it met me where I was, and it ended up feeling like a good friend, a friend that would literally see me where I am, with just a lot of supportive energies. Very surprised by the dichotomy with this one between what it looks like versus the egregore and energy of it. And that happens sometimes, right? You have an idea of what it's gonna be like, the deck, but until you literally have it in your hands and read with it, you cannot truly make your own opinion. You have to work with the deck really to figure out if it's gonna work. I mean, minus some exceptions, right? If it's like an RWS clone and you love those, then you know it's gonna work out. Or if you love Marseille and you get another very historical Marseille, then usually you should be able to pick up on that. But if it's something a little bit different or a little bit outside your comfort zone, you really have to use the deck to make your own opinion. And sometimes the original idea you have of how the deck is gonna read versus the reality of how it reads will surprise you, which is what this whole video is about. I thought it would be fun to talk about this subject. It's amazing, and I'm so glad I give this deck a chance. I really enjoy it, and it's one that I continue to go to when I feel a little bit low and I need something kind but still very like truthful and honest. The deck that was the most shocking, so you know, surprise, there's like level 2 surprises, there's like good surprises, bad surprises, there is the flabbergasting surprise, which is neither good or bad, and then there's a shocking factor, like your jaw is on the floor and you need to pick it up. this is that deck for me this year. Let's talk about the Sibylla. I've got the La Sibylle des Salons by Jab de Boer. Sibylla in general, right? This is a version of the Sibylla, but obviously there's plenty. There's French Sibyllas, Italian Sibyllas. This is my first like attempt at, I would say, try and get more familiar with a Sibylla system, and oof, it was an experience, let me say that. This gave me the most shocking readings of my year, and this is definitely a deck in terms of, you know, divination and predictive reading, was the most accurate, but almost scarily so. So this is a deck now that I have learned through being shocked many times, through being literally jaw on the floor, what the fuck is going on, this is so spooky, I'm getting a little bit creeped out now, because of many experience of doing reading with this and realizing, whoa, this is so shocking. It's now a deck that I approach with caution, let me tell you. Because if you go to this deck, and I think, honestly, most Sibylla, because I've like watched a lot of people talk about Sibyllas, read forums and stuff, and it seems a lot of us have a similar experience with this system. If you go to a Sibylla, you want to make sure that you really want to know what it is that you're asking. Go to this and you have a question. You want to make sure that you really want to know the truth. Don't go to this if deep down you're like, oh, I hope it doesn't tell me that, because it's just going to tell you the truth regardless of how you feel about it. So beware of what you ask with this, because it will tell you the truth. And sometimes we don't want to hear it. And this literally it shocked me with how accurate it is, spookily so. I mean, this predicted the death of my family's dog, for example. I was not ready for that. I was not ready. I was like asking about a little trip we were supposed to take, like a family trip we were supposed to take in the month of June, and literally the cards came up and it was like, yeah, you're not gonna be able to go because there's gonna be a death. And literally a few weeks later my dog started to get sick, so obviously we didn't want to leave her at the dog sitter while she was sick, so we cancelled all the trip and everything, and she ended up passing away. Exactly what my card said. My cards had said there's gonna be a delay in the cancellation because there's a death. At the time I was like, yeah, death means ending, it's okay. No, death was death. And so this is what I mean, like the Sibylla will tell you the tea. When I did a reading again for a friend, and this was around like issues she was having at work, and the cards came up with being like, it was all about like jealousy. People were, you know, someone it was giving her the evil eye kind of vibe, like, you know, the very, very jealous. And then she found out a few weeks later that indeed that person had been talking behind her back, spreading evil gossip, being very mean behind her back, pretending to be nice but actually trying to hinder her in the company. It was shocking. Like, it was like, what the fuck, you know? So this is one of the best reader in the sense of this does work so well for predictive readings and fortune telling, but only ask, there you go, you know, see, enemy, only ask what you really want to know. If you don't want to know, don't go to this. And this is why I really pick and choose what I want to know with this. Definitely the most shocking deck. I would love to know if you guys have a deck like that where you're like, whoa, this was so accurate, it's almost spooky. For me, it's this one. I still want to use it, but I'm very particular about what I ask because I know that if I ask, it's gonna tell me the truth. And we're gonna wrap it up with a fun surprise because this is a deck I thought was lost. I ordered this deck, you guys, 2022. I went back in my emails and, you know, trying to find the receipt and stuff. 2022. You know when it arrived? This week. We are in 2024. 2 years. It's been floating around the ether. I don't know where the fuck it's been. I think it's done a tour. I think this deck has gone on tour. I think he wanted to visit around the world. I feel like it's gonna have many stories to tell me because this deck has gone fully world traveling. Either it's gone on tour and it was lost, or it's been living in a boat container for 2 years, which can happen. I mean, sometimes things take a very long time to come to reunion, and it's happened to my family before. Like, we've gotten letters of people saying we've had a baby maybe like a year after the baby was born. You know, that can happen sometimes. Sometimes the post comes by boat, sometimes it comes by plane, and when it comes by boat, it can get lost, it can get left behind, whatever. So I'm used to things taking long, but 2 years, I had literally, I'm gonna be honest, I had forgotten about this deck. I'd kind of like accepted that it was lost, and I was like, well, there you go. It was an offering to the great god of post, maybe to Mercury, but I just never expected it would arrive. And guess what? This week I saw this in my mailbox and I was like, what? Super surprised. Anyway, that is the Omni Tarot by Olivia Healy. This is an indie deck by a UK creator, and whilst this has been traveling the world for 2 years, honestly, it's fine. I was so shocked that it is fine. The only thing that did not like the travel is that the back of it, as you can see, it's unstucking, and I think that's probably because it's been in very hot weather, maybe humid container, whatever. So I just need to glue that back down, but that's nothing. The cards are completely fine. The box was fine. So I don't know why it took 2 years to arrive. I had very much given up on this ever coming to me, but it's finally here. So I'm super excited, and what a good surprise for the end of 2024. I'm very glad. So here are the back, here are the sides. Again, I got this in 2022, so I don't even know if, one, this deck is still in print, two, if it looks like this, because maybe now the creator changed the box or whatever. I don't know. So happy it arrived because this is so me. It's like an RWS kind of inspired deck with very bright colors, fun figures. This is such a cool art style. I remember when I purchased this, I was so pumped because I was like, yeah, I love the characters in this. I love this artist style. I love all the boots and the clothes. It looks super fun. Poppy colors. This is very me. And look at those boots. 3 of Wands with a little witchy hat. It's super cool. Really, really cool deck. And it's one I can see. I mean, I've already shuffled it and done a little reading before we did the video, and it was great. So I'm super excited to finally have this. Love this Page of Swords. I'm definitely gonna be using this now. I have it for you guys. I'm gonna be using it for me. I had completely, I mean, look at this. So cool. I had really given up on this. I mean, I'd forgotten, honestly. At this point, I was like, yeah, again, it's an offering to the great gods of communication and of postal services. They can have it. And there you go. It turned up. Biggest surprise of 2024. After 2 years, this deck decided it was ready to come and meet me. So I think it's been many places. I think it's in a lot of things. I'm excited for it to tell me its stories. I'm excited for it to finally be here. Page of Wands, one of my significator, absolutely adorable. So you know what? Everything is possible. And talk about divine timing. And at the time of me filming, it's Mercury retrograde. So there you go. Funny delays, weird communication. My phone broke on me. I had so many weird delays, obstacles, weird things happening. It's been a struggle, to be honest, but in this sense it also brought me something I never thought I would get. The whims of Mercury, we love to see it. Look at this, gorgeous. Fun little last surprise of this video, which was like, this surprised me because I literally thought it was lost and it turned up 2 years later. So there you go, fun times. Okay, my friends, this is it. These were all of my most surprising decks, the good, the bad, and the flabbergasting. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't hesitate to leave me a comment. If you want to support my work, you can like, comment, subscribe. If you're not yet subscribed, now is a good time to do so. As I said, we're in the middle of Tarot Vlogmas. There's plenty of content coming in. I would love to know in the comments the decks that surprised you, whether they were good surprises, bad surprises, just shocking factor, whatever, all the different levels of surprises that we talked about in the video. Let me know the decks that really surprised you for a reason or another. I would love to hear it. I love to chat with you in the comments. Until my next video, I just want to thank you so much for being here. I'm sending you so much good vibes and keep navigating the waves of your soul. Bye!